When I was young, I used to read absolutely every single thing I could get my hands on about the Holocaust. I wanted to know every single detail. I was lucky to have found an immense library of knowledge, stories, songs, and poetry that I could delve into. Well, it took years for that collection to develop, and yet within 1 year of October 7th, we see the immense documentation that has been accomplished, capturing the stories of every possible survivor and the unfortunate many victims, not only of the massacre, but also those who are involved in fighting our war of freedom in the aftermath of that massacre. And we are lucky. We are lucky to have so many details, so many stories that are coming to light. We also remember how many details we do not have, how many stories we'll never hear, because entire families were burned, killed, mutilated, abused before all of that. We shield ourselves from all of that graphic pain. We felt it. We have blocked it out since in order to survive, in order to cope. And then the anniversary came around and we felt compelled to reacquaint ourselves with some of those painful elements and to hear stories maybe that we had not heard yet. A lot of people that I have spoken with have said that they continue to steer clear of hearing these graphic details and these stories because it's just too much. What I have called, since just even a few months into the war, compassion fatigue. The inability to appropriately assess, compartmentalize the pain that everyone is feeling in the aftermath of the pogrom, the massacre, the outright genocide of Jews on October 7th. Unfortunately, the stories of those elements of survival or murder are also being brushed away as if they are legitimate because the pro-Palestinian camps have banded together under the banner of their lies and denial, and they are drowning out the story, the truth of the suffering that took place on that day. So in order for us to protect the elements of that human experience as it transpired, and to try and make sense of it, which maybe we never will, we have to start by knowing what happened. But how much can you read without having nightmares? How much can you hear? How much can we spend time seeking it out while, again, still living in survival mode? I think that there is a middle ground that everyone must find for themselves, but we cannot shirk the responsibility that we have to inherit these stories just as we did the stories of the Holocaust. Yes, there was a bridge of time when it wasn't so openly discussed, those horrors that were witnessed long before the death camps, long before the killing pits, the horrors of the street of anti-Semitism, even the ghettos. By then, things had changed. There was already a confinement. That changes the context in which these acts took place. But if we are looking to understand ourselves and understand the experience we are feeling as witnesses to this atrocity, we want to put our perspective before cattle cars that no one knew were ever going to be. We want to put ourselves before knowing that gas chambers would exist. We want to put ourselves in the innocent perspective of the Jew living wherever they were living in the world, either those targeted in mainland Europe, in Germany, and then the anti-Semitism that spread through the streets, again, long before the Nazis were in power. Learn about the Kishinev pogrom. Learn about the massive rape and blood flowing through the streets and the murders that took place in 1903. We have to remember that history is moving together with us right now, and these examples from the past can enlighten our coping and understanding and action for the future. So look back to history and read about those persecutions and how Jews survived in order to understand the strength that we have and the blessing that we have Israel and an Israeli army to be able to defend us and to fight for our rights. Elie Wiesel always told me, or challenged me, how could I transmit the lessons of the Holocaust without causing pain? Maybe it's impossible. And those of us who live as the post-October 7th Jews of today's world, we realize just how impossible it is to describe, to understand for those who were not there, and to share the story without inevitably causing some degree of pain. Maybe that pain is a part of our awakening, and maybe we need to just allow others to open up with us and share that pain, because the associations are not going to go away. Every redheaded child that you see, every young woman, you're going to think about the captive hostages, our girls. You're going to think about the grandfathers, just like I do every time I see a grandfather. And every time I see a family and I think about the families, whole families who were burned alive after being tortured. No, I can't stop from sharing the graphic detail because I have learned from history, and I'm just hoping that some of our lessons are able to help you grasp the historical time that we're living through and help you find your space, your voice, what it is that you want to do as we fight this war.